And it's time to check in with somebody we were supposed to talk to the other day, but it was all my fault. I acted like I was in the Eastern time zone, and I put 3 hours between Central and Pacific. It's just two, and I actually kind of just whiffed on Dru Brown, and he was working out by the time we called him, which was 10 o'clock his time, not the 9 o'clock as promised. Hey, Dru, I apologize. Sometimes I'm stupid.
No, you're good. You're good. No worries.
Let's get to the happy stuff because I'm really trying to stay happy on this show with everything that's going on. And the happy is you performed really well on Pro Day, had the best vertical of anybody here, and would have been the best vertical of all the quarterbacks that went to the combine. I thought you did well on the 40. I thought you threw well. All those things. I thought the scouts, watching scouts look and watch your workout, I thought they were engaged and interested, which is always good. And then, lo and behold, you got your job a couple of days later, not even maybe a day later, but going to Canada, which I think will be a good fit and a great way for you to establish yourself as a pro. So take us through the scenario of Pro Day and becoming a Winnipeg Blue Bomber.
Yeah, so they had called me probably two months before my pro day and were telling me that they had my negotiating rights, which is kind of unique to Canada. I'm not really going to go into like what that means, but it basically is like, we want you, and no other team can really pick you up except for us until you accept or deny whatever. And then probably 2 or 3 weeks before pro day, they them and my agent were negotiating a contract, and they sent me over contract, and obviously they would want me to sign it right off the bat, but I had already been training for pro day, and I wanted to be able to throw to the guys and go work out. I didn't want to just go out there and stand around. So it was kind of a decision that I had already been training, and like I said, I wanted to throw to the guys one last time and kind of like let them show their stuff and, ultimately just perform and compete, which is what I like to do. And then pretty much a few hours after pro day, I signed my contract that I kind of already knew I was going to do. So that was kind of the timeline.
Was it a case where obviously you understand, and you probably did a deep dive or had people who had done a deep dive inform you of how many guys have gone to Canada, use that to springboard? We know Doug Flutie. We know, if you really want to go back, Hall of Famer Warren Moon. But a number of quarterbacks have done well in Canada and come back and played in the NFL in the States. How much did you look at that?
I think that's, a big part of what you look at because, it's a very stable league that's continued to funnel guys into the league, but it's also very has a good reputation, and everything that I hear about what goes on up there is positive. And when you are thinking about foregoing really a dream that you've had since you were 6 or 7 years old, you really have to do your homework on it. And I placed my faith into all of those guys and what they did, and similar stature a lot of times, and I just believe in myself, and if I'm able to go up there and do what I do and perform well like I know I can, I think that I'll be able to make a strong case for me kind of making my way back, but also enjoying the process and enjoy learning a different game up there.
Well, and not only that, I mean, I was telling you about a Darius Bowman who was an unbelievable wide receiver here. He was the freak before Des Bryant and all of that caught on here, and he went up there and ended up becoming the all-time leading receiver in the history of the CFL, made a good career. I'm going to be, in the interest of being totally transparent, he did get got pulled over and got a marijuana arrest right before the NFL draft, which hurt his draft choices or hurt his draft options. And then I had him on the show a couple of times after he'd become a star up there, and he said, "You know what? Because he kind of likes the weed. He said I can smoke weed and play up here, so it's a great deal for me."
Yeah, some guys, that's what they're into, and it seems like these different leagues are starting to get more and more like that. But for me personally, I'd rather not. But hey, different strokes, different folks.
No, I've got you, and again, it's a fun league. When you talk about the changes in the game, wider field. Again, you got to get more for a first down. You only have 3 downs, but that just makes the game more wide open. And considering the 2 colleges that you played most of your football for, Hawaii and Oklahoma State, both with wide open offenses, you're kind of used to that kind of type of a game.
Yeah, I think schematically, even if you dive in deeper, very similar offenses to what I ran at Hawaii. This might kind of sound a little foreign, but full field reads, your backside progression is coming into your vision, and that's stuff that I kind of excel on. A lot of our stuff at OSU was cutting the field in half and making a decision pre-snap. But I think that with all the space up there, you kind of have to have these full field reads, and at the end of the day, you're throwing the ball a lot. So as a quarterback, that's always appealing.
Not only that, but I think you fool people sometimes with how strong your arm is. And I thought you did a good job on Pro Day of showing off your arm strength.
Yeah, I definitely think that, we had a few throws in there that kind of showcased that. Really just wanted to hone in, the intermediate stuff, the stuff that they do a lot in the league, so they can kind of take note of that and then, take that back to wherever they're going. And, when the time comes and they're reevaluating, that they'll remember that, I can make those intermediate passes that a lot of guys struggle with, layering that ball over the second level defenders. But yeah, definitely I think that Quincy did a really good job, making my script and kind of showcasing what I got.
Dru Brown with us, again, captain and quarterback for Oklahoma State last year and for the last couple of years. I remember when you came, it was announced you were coming to Oklahoma State, and Mike Yursich was the coach at the time that recruited you to come in. Oklahoma State had a young guy coming in Spencer Sanders, a walk-on that had been here for 4 years and was going into his 5th year in Taylor Cornelius. So I don't know what you expected to happen initially, but as it worked out, Taylor Cornelius was the quarterback, and the transfer, Dru Brown, and the young pup freshman, Spencer Sanders, sat for a year. When you look back at the experience at Oklahoma State, and, I don't mind how honest you want to get, it may not have worked out the way you kind of pictured it, but how do you look back on it?
I think as far as, looking back on it, I'm not a person that really looks in the rear view. I'm pretty convicted when I make decisions, and I make the decision and then kind of try and make the decision right from there. Not trying to make the right decision, but kind of trying to make the decision right, if that makes sense.
No, that makes great sense.
That's just kind of how I was raised. And, as I look back, I got relationships that'll help me, for the rest of my life as far as connections. And I've made friendships that, I can't really argue with. There's a guy on the team that I'll be he's getting married in May, and he asked me to be in his line. So it's you can't really replace that. Obviously I would have loved it to go as planned and, played my first year and then move on. But being there longer allowed me to kind of dive into more of a leadership role, and guys saw how I worked and how I, treated them and how I pursued a relationship with them off the field. And, I think ultimately that paid off a lot more than, just some sticks and some wins. So,
Mike Gundy says this, and I truly believe it as well, the greatest honor that a player can get within his own team is to be voted a captain, and you were voted a captain, even though I think at the end of the day, correct me if I'm wrong, started 3 games: West Virginia, the Bedlam game, and the bowl game. Played in a number of others, but when it was time at the end of the season to vote, for captains, you were one of the guys your teammates said, no, he's a captain.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's especially at, Oklahoma State, how they do it, where, you're getting voted team captain at the end of the year, and after everything's kind of gone down. It's not like voting for a team captain before the season when it's all sunshine and rainbows. You've been through the ringer every year pretty much. And, guys kind of get to see who folds and who, is true to who they are and continues to lead. And that meant a lot to me as a player to be named by my teammates. And I would probably agree with him as far as, the greatest honor in our program. I think that I've never seen it done that way, but I do think that it's kind of unique to Oklahoma State, and it's kind of one of the things that makes it special for sure.
Hey, last thing, hopefully all this clears up in time for training camps to open in time for the CFL. And for folks who don't realize, CFL starts earlier. They'll start playing games in the summer, and it's kind of fun because I like me some CFL football.
Yep.
Yeah, I tune in because I'm just a football, crazy guy. So I've watched a lot of CFL football over the years. One of my friends that I played against is still broadcasting there because he was one of the great quarterbacks in the history of the CFL. So I even know a few people. But no spring football, at least for now. No one's canned it completely. As you look at your alma mater, one of your alma maters, you have a degree from Hawaii, and you also went to Oklahoma State. How does not going through spring football, if they don't have any spring football before next year, what are teams going to be missing heading into the season from your educated standpoint?
Oh, that's a good question. I honestly think it's just comfortability. Because that's reps you can't replicate. You can do your best to mentally go through, but at the end of the day, live bullets are live bullets, and, you'd love to get those reps. And however the guys figure that they need to make up for that, whether it's, extra time together or, I don't even know what they're doing out there as far as like isolating and stuff. I know they blow everything out of proportion out here in California, but just getting those reps the best they can before, fall camp or whenever they resume spring ball. But, I think the thing is that everybody's going through it, so it's not really gonna affect one team more than the other, I don't think, because at the end of the day, everybody's pretty much doing the same thing as far as, trying to be safe than sorry, rather be safe than sorry. But yeah, I think that them just getting extra work in together when they can, when it's safe, and just to try and replicate those reps as best as they can. And so they're ready to roll whenever a coach thinks that, the coast is clear and they can get rolling again.
Hey, last thing, I know you were out there for a couple of the practices the week of your pro day and got a chance to see the newest California edition, Shane Illingworth. He's a big old boy. But talk a little bit, and obviously Spencer well, and your thoughts. Is Oklahoma State in pretty good shape at the quarterback position?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I think that Spence is making strides. I think the new coach they got, just sitting in on some of their meetings and seeing them at practice, it seems like they kind of struck gold there. He really knows what he's talking about, so he's mentoring those guys and teaching them really good stuff. And I think that, like I said, Spence is making strides in his second year, kind of able to sit back and reflect on things that happened his first year, to be able to grow from, because it's a lot to build off of. He had a great year. And then just watching Shane, he's as advertised. He can throw the ball really well. I think that as a early enrollee freshman, the best thing you can do is just continue to learn the offense and dive in, and just try and build relationships from day one. And I mean, that's Sean's doing a good job. Sean was slinging at practice. Costello, Peyton, all those guys are doing a good job. It was really cool getting to go out there and watch him sling it around. I wasn't out there with him, but I was watching him from a safe distance, and just being able to see those guys again, it was really cool. And watching them throw and watching them grow, it was really kind of a cool experience.
I know it's going to be cool to follow you up in Canada with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and obviously wish you the best. Hope you get a chance to get back here from time to time, because there's a lot of us that, like you said, and I know teammates especially, but some of us on the periphery that really enjoyed getting to know Dru Brown. So don't be a stranger.
Absolutely. I'll be back.
All right. Dru Brown, hey, appreciate your time, and again, good luck with the work and getting ready to get up to Canada and get your pro career started.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you having me.
All right, Dru Brown.